Okay, so the neurosurgeon says everything's going good, and by the end of March, this should be gone. So I figure while it's still here, I should get this poem on video with the perfect prop. So this is The Old Fart Takes a Header. As far as the old fart could tell, it was a Grand Canyon of a fall, in slow motion, ending before it began, from an Everest of a curb in the supermarket parking lot. Formed concrete caught his shoe with the sharpened nails of a gremlin's claw, and down he went, a header, face first into wood chips, scuffed knees, bloody forehead. Everything changes in that moment. Lying on moist ground in the day's penumbra of mercury vapor lights, life slips into a surreal mode where nothing seems quite right anymore. A stranger passing by pauses, shifts his shopping bags, asks if he's okay. The old fart, on autopilot, and noting that he's not yet dead, mumbles, "Yeah." The young man continues on his way. A fracture of the axis vertebrae. "Yes, sir, that's a broken neck." But he doesn't know that yet, and rolls over onto his back, rocks to his side, doing the old fart boogie-woogie. He rises. In the supermarket, the lights are too bright. Everyone is staring at him. The floor wavers like undulations in the surface of a calm pond, just enough to make him feel uneasy on his feet. He pats with a handkerchief at the blood running off his forehead, stares into the restroom mirror, splashes cold water on his face. The blood dilutes but doesn't stop flowing. The stunned old fart asks the checker for a first aid kit and finds himself seated on a bench with employees fawning over him, bandaging his forehead, giving him water he doesn't want. "It'll just make me pee," he tells her. They offer to call an ambulance, but the old fart knows what that means and takes to his feet, wobbly, to venture out and finish his shopping. "Fuck them and their ambulance," he mumbles as he wanders back and forth. He repeats the same path, putting things in his basket, then taking them out again, until the confusion overwhelms him. He hits the checkout line, pays in a haze, stumbles out to his car, and drives his ass to the post office to check for mail. His neck shooting electric shocks into his head, into his shoulders. This might not be good. Instead of heading home, he hesitates, then turns toward the nearby emergency room. He parks, musters his mettle, and walks inside, where he tells the woman he fell on his head, apologizes for taking her time for nothing. Bored, she questions him until he reveals that he's on blood thinners. He is whisked off down labyrinthine corridors in a wheelchair. He's loosely tucked into a gap-back gown, then lifted over onto a CT scanner table. They are looking for blood on his brain. Nothing is found there. But that fracture turns up at C2, so the hustle does not abate, simply shifts focus from the brain to the spine, and now flexion extension x-rays are ordered. Stat! The dizzy old fart does his best to stand still, but wavers in front of the machine, as though the floor were pitched at an uncomfortable, unfamiliar angle, feet bereft of bone. With the kindly x-ray tech's help, he does it at last, before settling back in the wheelchair for the ride down crowded halls to the temporary sanctuary of the room where his book and cell phone await him. Then the young doctor comes back. He asks the old fart, "When did he break his neck before? Didn't he break his neck before?" The old fart stumbles around his past, seeking occasions for an unnoticed broken neck. The fracture appears stable, but the surgeon will decide that. Surgeon? When did they mention surgery? How did he miss that? They put him in a cervical collar, then tell him he can get dressed and go home. Without even a prescription for pain pills, he's been dismissed. Time to move on. They need that bed. The nurse says goodbye and suggests a joint after he gets home. You do have a ride home, don't you? In the parking lot, the old fart pops a Xanax before getting behind the wheel to learn just what this all means. He can't turn his head side to side, can't look behind him. Driving is an anxiety-generating adventure. At home, after excavating expired Norco out of the depths of the refrigerator, and while undressing for the second time that evening, he finds a large splinter of wood chip in his pants pocket, as though he needed evidence beyond this contraption clutching at his throat, circling his neck, perching on his chest and back like the blunted talons of a half-tamed predator, and he, by process of elimination, determined to be the prey. He waits to be carried away through the sky, waits for the upside, an orchid rising out of the dark fog he's fallen into from a parking lot curb. This strange life of limitations he'd never before considered. This freshly minted reality.